The twin suns of Zytheria burned high in the sky, casting long shadows across the jagged crystal towers of the alien city. Commander Ryland stood at the edge of the landing platform, the human spacecraft humming behind him. He adjusted the straps on his armor and surveyed the strange world before him. The air was thin, tinged with a faint metallic scent. His team moved quietly behind him, each soldier tense, aware that every step they took could be watched by a civilization far more advanced than their own. Ryland had faced dangerous planets before, but something about Zytheria felt different. The planet seemed alive, not in the way a jungle pulsed with life, but in the way the very walls of the city shimmered with energy, as if the buildings themselves could think. He felt the pull of eyes on him, not just from the alien city, but from the palace that rose in the distance, crystalline and immense. This was the heart of the Zytherian civilization, and at its center ruled Queen Valira. "Commander," said Lieutenant Kira, her voice steady but low, "the Queen awaits us. Remember, our orders are to negotiate. We are guests here, and we must show respect." Ryland nodded. "I know. But keep your weapons ready. I don't trust appearances on a world like this." He didn't need to say it aloud, but his instincts screamed caution. He had learned long ago that diplomacy could be as dangerous as a battlefield. The team began their approach. Alien guards, tall and lithe with skin that gleamed like liquid silver, emerged from the crystalline walls, guiding them toward the palace. The soldiers moved with a fluid precision that spoke of centuries of training. Ryland couldn't help but notice the intricate patterns carved into their uniforms glowing softly with energy. Everything about Zytheria was unfamiliar yet efficient, and it made him wary. When they entered the throne room, the sheer scale of the space left them all silent. The room stretched farther than any human mind could easily grasp. Crystals rose from the floor like stalagmites, refracting light into shifting colors. The ceiling was impossibly high, covered in a network of luminous veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. And at the far end, seated on a throne of solid crystal, was Queen Valira. She was taller than any human, her body graceful and commanding. Her skin was a pale, almost translucent shade, and her eyes were large, almond-shaped, glowing faintly like embers. Long, delicate antennae extended from her forehead, twitching slightly as she observed them. She did not rise when the humans entered. She did not smile. She simply watched. Ryland felt the weight of her gaze and instinctively squared his shoulders. He stepped forward. "Queen Valira, I am Commander Ryland of the United Earth Forces. We have come to discuss peace and mutual understanding between our species." The Queen tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. "I know who you are, human," she said, her voice a soft melody that seemed to resonate directly in his mind. "You have brought your people to my world. You are armored as expected." She paused, her eyes flicking over his chest plate and shoulder guards. "But if you wish to speak with me, remove it." The words hit Ryland like a shock. Remove his armor? His armor was more than protection. It carried the history of countless battles, the honor of his unit, and the symbol of human resilience. No one, alien or human, had ever dared ask him to remove it in the presence of a monarch. He hesitated, exchanging a glance with Kira and the other soldiers. Kira gave him a subtle nod, reminding him of their mission. "Commander," she said quietly, "sometimes diplomacy requires trust. This may be what she needs." Ryland swallowed. Slowly, deliberately, he began unclasping his armor. The room remained silent except for the soft hum of the crystals. As each piece fell away, revealing the uniform beneath, he felt every eye in, the throne room focus entirely on him. His heart pounded, not from fear of danger, but from the gravity of the moment. When he finally stood before her without the protective metal, the unexpected happened. Queen Valira froze. Her antennae stiffened, and her eyes widened in astonishment. She did not blink. She simply remained motionless, staring at him as if seeing something she had never imagined possible. The humans around him whispered among themselves, unsure of what to do. The Zytherian guards shifted uncomfortably, their usual composure shaken. Rylan felt a strange energy in the room, subtle but undeniable, something that went beyond the ordinary. It was as though the air itself had changed. Rylan held his position, careful not to move too quickly. "Is something wrong?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. The Queen finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper tinged with awe. I did not expect this," she said. "Your armor is not merely protection, it is a statement of strength. Yet beneath it, there is courage that cannot be measured by technology alone." Rylan's eyebrows lifted. He had seen fear before, even in the fiercest alien enemies, but this was different. This was not fear of him as an opponent, it was recognition. Recognition of something far deeper, something unique about humans. Kira stepped closer to him. "Commander, what is she seeing?" she asked softly. "I'm not sure," Rylan replied. "But whatever it is, it's not hostility. It's respect." The Queen's eyes, glowing softly, scanned him again. "In my world," she said slowly, "we measure value through power, through dominance, through control. But you carry something older, something rare. Independence, ingenuity. You are human." Rylan nodded, understanding dawning. This encounter was more than a simple diplomatic mission. The Queen was assessing humans not for battle but for character, for spirit, for the qualities that could not be built into machines or weapons. The crystalline walls of the palace shimmered again, reflecting images that seemed to tell stories of past wars and victories. The Queen gestured, and the images focused on the alien soldiers' armor, their technology, their reliance on tools and systems. Then her gaze returned to Rylan, as if comparing his simplicity and reliance on skill to her people's complexity. The humans and aliens in the room remained silent, giving space for this extraordinary moment. Rylan felt a swell of pride, not from ego, but from understanding that the essence of humanity had been seen and appreciated by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Finally, the Queen spoke again, her voice firm but respectful. "You have something we do not understand. Human, not strength alone, not technology alone, but the courage to stand without it, the ability to face the unknown and adapt." Rylan felt a small smile form. "We call it survival," he said simply. "And sometimes, it's about more than surviving. It's about standing for what we believe is right, no matter the danger." The Queen nodded slowly as if weighing his words against the centuries of her people's wisdom. The air in the room seemed to shift again, lighter now, charged with possibility. Rylan knew that whatever happened next, the relationship between humans and Zetherians had just changed forever. Kira placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Commander, I think we just passed the first test," she whispered. Rylan's eyes never left the Queen. He could see curiosity replacing astonishment in her expression. The ice of unfamiliarity was breaking, and in its place came something new, a bridge between species, built not on fear but on mutual recognition. As the humans were escorted further into the palace, Rylan couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Queen had seen a piece of humanity she could not ignore, and that meant the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. He adjusted the strap of his uniform, preparing for whatever came next. The mission was clear, but the path was uncertain. For the first time, Rylan felt that his armor, once a shield, was now a symbol, not of protection, but of the human spirit. And somewhere in the heart of the crystalline palace, Queen Valera remained still for a moment longer, studying him, trying to understand what it truly meant to face a being who could inspire awe, without weapons, without force, and without fear. Outside, the twin suns of Zetheria continued to shine, casting light on a world about to witness the courage and ingenuity of humanity in a way it had never imagined. The throne room remained silent long after Commander Rylan had removed his armor. The crystalline walls glimmered, reflecting the twin suns' light in shifting patterns that danced across the floor. The alien guards stood rigid, their movements unusually tense. Even Lieutenant Kira felt a shiver run down her spine. She had never seen an alien, much less a queen, react this way. Ryland stood tall, his hands folded behind his back, waiting for the queen to speak. Her antennae twitched slowly, like delicate instruments trying to sense something beyond the ordinary. Her large, glowing eyes never left him. Every detail of his human form seemed to captivate her. For a moment it felt as if time had slowed. The only sounds in the room were the soft hum of the palace and the faint footfalls of the guards. Ryland's team whispered among themselves quietly, unsure whether they should intervene or remain still. Then finally the queen spoke, her voice barely more than a breath. You are unlike any being I have encountered." Her words carried a mixture of awe and disbelief. "Your armor, it is strong, yet beneath it, there is a courage and independence that cannot be measured." Ryland raised an eyebrow. "We call it human spirit," he said simply. "It's not about the armor. It's about what we do when we face danger, when we rely on our minds and our instincts." Queen Valira's gaze seemed to pierce through him. She leaned forward slightly, her hands resting lightly on the arms of her throne. "I see it now," she said. "A creature who can survive, who can adapt, without relying on machines or systems. You stand alone, yet strong. Humans, you are dangerous not because of weapons but because of willpower." Ryland could feel the weight of her words. This was not fear born of weakness. It was fear born of recognition, of respect. He had heard of alien civilizations that relied entirely on technology, where instinct and creativity were considered secondary. Cytheria was one of them. And here he was, standing in front of their queen, showing that humans were different. Kira stepped closer, her voice quiet. "Commander, why is she frozen like that? She hasn't blinked in minutes." Ryland shook his head. "I don't know, but I think it's not anger or confusion. It's recognition. She's seeing something she never expected to see in a living being." The queen's eyes slowly shifted to the walls of the throne room. The crystals around them pulsed softly, projecting faint images, almost like memories. Scenes of wars, alien victories and failures shimmered in the light. Her fingers hovered over the armrests as if she were drawing information from the palace itself. "You rely on adaptability," she said, her voice low and almost reverent. "You rely on thinking, on skill, on courage. These are qualities my people admire but rarely possess at this level. And yet, here you are, a single human, standing before me, unafraid." Ryland felt a strange calm wash over him. He had been trained for moments like this, moments where diplomacy and courage intersected. Yet nothing in his training had prepared him for the awe of being recognized for something as simple, yet profound, as human resilience. He cleared his throat. "Queen Valera, I am no different from my people. We all carry the same strength. It is not a power that can be given or taken. It comes from within. It comes from knowing who we are and what we are willing to protect." The queen remained still, her antennae quivering. Slowly, a flicker of movement appeared across her face. She stepped down from her throne, her every movement graceful, deliberate. The room seemed to hum with energy as she approached him. "You may not realize what you have shown me," she said. "Your people, your species. It is unlike anything in this galaxy. Strength is not only measured by might or weaponry, it is measured by courage, creativity, and the ability to survive against impossible odds." Ryland could feel the tension in the room shift. The alien guards relaxed slightly, though they continued to observe closely. The queen's voice, though calm, carried a weight that demanded attention. She was not speaking as a ruler to a subject. She was speaking as one being to another, acknowledging a truth she had only just discovered. "And yet," she continued, "you wear this armor. It is a symbol of your victories, your culture, and your resilience. But even without it, you stand strong. I did not expect this. I did not expect to see such independence." Rylan nodded. We do what we must to survive. And sometimes, surviving is about more than just winning. It is about standing for something greater than ourselves, about protecting others, and facing what comes with courage and resolve. Queen Valira's glowing eyes seemed to study him more deeply than any alien being had before. I have seen many civilizations. I have commanded legions, ruled worlds, and studied countless species. But humans, you are extraordinary. Not because you can fight, not because you can build, but because you endure. You adapt. You face the unknown and make it yours. The words echoed in the room like a soft melody. Rylan felt a sense of pride, but not arrogance. He understood now that this moment was bigger than himself. It was about humanity, as a species being recognized by a civilization far older and wiser than their own. Kira spoke quietly. Commander, what should we do next? Rylan thought for a moment. We wait. Let her process what she's seeing. Let her understand that humans are not a threat, but a force to be respected. This is diplomacy, yes, but it is also recognition of who we are. The Queen continued to move slowly around him, her long limbs casting shifting shadows across the crystalline floor. She paused in front of one of the walls, touching the crystal lightly. The wall shimmered, showing images of alien battles and strategies. Then she turned back to Rylan. You possess qualities my species has long admired but seldom seen. Independence, ingenuity, and courage. These are rare. You are human. She said the word slowly, almost tasting it. I must understand you, understand your people. I must learn what it is that allows you to endure, to inspire, to survive. Rylan met her gaze. Queen Valira, if you wish to understand, you must be willing to see us as we are, not just as soldiers or humans in armor. We are more than what, you see? Our strength comes from within, not from our weapons or technology. The Queen paused, her glowing eyes reflecting his words. Then slowly she stepped back and motioned for the human soldiers to follow her deeper into the palace. Come, she said. There is much to show you, much to teach, and much to learn. Perhaps together we can understand what it means to truly face the unknown. As the group moved through the halls, Rylan glanced back at the throne room. The crystals continued to pulse softly, reflecting the twin suns' light. He realized that this encounter had changed everything. The Queen's reaction was not one of fear or hostility. It was recognition. Recognition of the human spirit, something no armor or weapon could fully capture. Kira leaned closer to him as they walked. Commander, do you think she will ever see us as equals? Rylan looked forward, his eyes fixed on the shifting patterns of the palace walls. She already does, he said quietly. She may not say it yet, but she understands something that many in the galaxy have not. Humans, we survive because we adapt, because we endure, because we refuse to give up. That is our power. The Queen led them to a vast chamber at the heart of the palace, a place filled with intricate mechanisms and glowing symbols. It was clear that this was a place of knowledge, a repository of Zetherian history, strategy, and wisdom. The walls projected moving images showing wars, inventions, and discoveries, and yet despite all this, the Queen's attention remained on Rylan and his team. You have shown me something my people rarely witness, she said softly. A courage that is not bound by technology, by numbers, or by history. You stand as one, yet strong. This is remarkable. Rylan bowed his head slightly in respect. We are honored, Queen Valira, and we hope that this meeting can be the start of understanding, not just for humans and Zetherians, but for the galaxy. The Queen's antennae twitched again, slowly this time, and a small, almost imperceptible smile appeared on her face. It was the first sign of warmth, the first sign that the ice of unfamiliarity was beginning to melt. Rylan felt a sense of hope rising in him. This was more than a diplomatic mission. This was the start of something new, something that could change the way their species saw each other forever. As they continued through the palace, he knew that the coming days would test them in ways he could not yet imagine. The Queen's fascination with humanity was only beginning, and in the quiet strength of his team, he saw the promise of what humans could achieve, not through weapons or machines, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. For the first time on Zytheria, humans were no longer just visitors. They were beings to be understood, respected, and perhaps even admired. Outside, the twin suns continued to shine, painting the crystal towers in hues of gold and crimson. And in the heart of the palace, Queen Valera watched, trying to comprehend what it truly meant to face a species that could inspire awe simply by being itself. The chamber the Queen led them into was vast, filled with walls that seemed to shift and glow with a soft internal light. Crystalline panels lined the floors and ceilings, forming intricate patterns that seemed almost alive. Rylan's team glanced, around in awe. It was clear this room was not just a place of beauty, it was a test. The Queen paused at the center, her glowing eyes fixed on Rylan. "You have shown courage and resilience," she said. "But to truly understand humanity, I must see more. Follow me." She gestured toward a large archway at the far end of the chamber. Beyond it lay a twisting, ever-changing maze, its walls made of the same crystalline material as the palace. Light reflected at strange angles, creating illusions that would disorient even the most experienced explorers. "This," the Queen continued, "is the labyrinth of understanding. It is a challenge designed for my people, a test of intellect and adaptability. Few have passed it. I wish to see if your species can navigate it using wit and instinct alone." Rylan stepped forward, his eyes scanning the entrance. "What is the purpose of this maze?" he asked. "It is not only a physical test," the Queen replied. "It measures thinking, resourcefulness, and the ability to adapt to the unexpected. My soldiers are trained to follow commands and rely on systems. You must rely on yourselves." The humans exchanged glances. This was not a battlefield, but it would require every skill they had. Rylan nodded. "Understood. We are ready." The Queen's antennae twitched. "Begin." The maze was immediate in its complexity. Walls shifted subtly as they walked, creating passages that appeared and vanished within moments. Rylan led his team, relying not on technology but on observation. He noticed faint patterns in the reflections, subtle clues that suggested which paths were safe. Kira followed closely, analyzing each movement and helping the team avoid dead ends. The alien guards had never accompanied them into this maze, leaving the humans to navigate it entirely on their own. Hours seemed to pass as they moved deeper. The labyrinth tested more than their sense of direction. It tested patience, teamwork, and creativity. At one point, a section of the floor gave way to reveal a deep chasm, illuminated by an ethereal blue glow. Rylan paused, studying the edges. There was no bridge, no handholds. The path forward required a leap of faith. "Everyone, stay calm," Rylan said. "We'll use the shadows and reflections. Follow my lead." One by one, the team leaped across, using small crystals as footholds and guiding each other carefully. Every step required trust and coordination. When the last soldier landed safely, a low hum echoed through the walls. The maze had acknowledged their success. As they pressed on, the labyrinth presented more challenges. Some corridors looped endlessly, confusing the mind. Others contained illusions, images of foes or dangers that were not real. Rylan learned quickly to trust his instincts, recognizing the difference between illusion and reality. Hours of careful navigation led them to a central chamber. Here the walls were taller, and the crystals pulsed with a soft white light. At the center stood a platform with a puzzle-like structure. Symbols glowed faintly, shifting in patterns that seemed impossible to decipher. "This is the final test." The Queen's voice echoed through the labyrinth. Though she was not visible, her presence was palpable. "Solve it using skill, observation, and ingenuity. My soldiers could not succeed without assistance. Rylan examined the structure. The symbols moved in repeating sequences, but they were not random. He noticed that certain symbols aligned with reflections on the walls, creating patterns that revealed the solution. "Look here," he said to his team. "The reflections are the key. Follow the sequence, and we'll unlock it." They worked, together, adjusting the pieces carefully, testing each combination against the reflected light. It was a delicate balance, requiring patience and precision. Slowly, the symbols began to glow steadily, and the platform sank slightly, signaling success. A soft chime echoed through the labyrinth, and the walls shifted again, revealing a new passage. Ryland's team moved forward, exhausted but exhilarated. They had not only navigated the maze but solved its central puzzle, proving their adaptability and ingenuity. When they emerged from the labyrinth, they found themselves in a serene garden within the palace. Crystals glimmered like water, and plants with glowing leaves swayed gently despite the absence of wind. The beauty of the place contrasted sharply with the challenges of the maze. It was as if the Queen wanted them to understand that true strength was not only in facing danger but also in appreciating the calm that follows. The Queen waited at the garden's center. She had not moved during their trials, but her eyes glowed brighter now, filled with admiration. "You have succeeded," she said. "Not through force, not through technology, but through creativity, observation, and cooperation. You have demonstrated qualities my people seldom possess." Rylan bowed slightly, still catching his breath. "We are humans," he said simply. "We face challenges because we must, and we solve them because we care about those who depend on us. That is how we survive." Queen Valera's antennae twitched with subtle movement. "You have shown me what humans can achieve when relying on their minds and hearts rather than machines or orders. It is extraordinary. Your species carries a resilience that cannot be taught, only experienced." Kira looked at Rylan, her eyes wide. "Commander, she actually seems impressed." Rylan allowed himself a small smile. "More than impressed. She understands. That is far more valuable than respect alone." The Queen moved closer, her presence commanding yet not threatening. "I must admit I underestimated your species. I assumed that humans, like many others, relied on technology to mask their weaknesses. But you rely on each other, on your own skill, and on courage. That is what makes you remarkable." Rylan nodded. "It is not about being remarkable. It is about doing what is necessary and protecting those we care about. Every human carries that spirit in one form or another." The Queen regarded him silently for a moment. Then she gestured to the glowing plants around them. "You will stay here tonight. Rest. Tomorrow, we will continue. There is more for me to learn about humanity, and more for you to demonstrate. You have passed the first test, but the journey is not complete." Rylan glanced around the garden, taking in the tranquil beauty. "Understood, Queen Valera. We are ready for whatever comes next." The humans settled in the garden, their armor restored in their minds only as a memory of past trials. For the first time, Rylan felt the weight of human spirit recognized by a being of immense power. It was not just a personal victory. It was proof that humans could inspire awe through intellect, courage, and cooperation alone. As night fell, over Zetheria, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the crystalline towers. Rylan looked up at the sky, feeling the faint hum of the palace around him. The Queen had frozen in astonishment when he removed his armor, and now, after navigating the labyrinth, he realized that moment was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its strength, and the Queen's respect was no longer tentative. It was earned. Kira leaned back against a crystal wall. "Commander, do you think she will ever truly understand us?" Rylan smiled faintly. "She already does. Understanding is not about knowing every detail. It's about seeing the heart. That is what she has done. She has seen the heart of humanity, and that is far more than any test could measure." As they rested, The soft glow of the garden illuminated their faces. The palace, the labyrinth, and the queen's presence had all combined to show them something profound. Humans were not just visitors to the galaxy. They were beings capable of inspiring respect and awe simply by being themselves. And somewhere, in the heart of the crystalline palace, Queen Valera watched the humans, contemplating what she had seen. The maze had been a test of intellect and skill, but it had also been a test of spirit. Humans had passed not because of technology, but because of courage, ingenuity, and heart. For the first time in her life, the queen felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity that went beyond protocol or duty. These beings, she realized, could teach her something new about resilience, leadership, and the essence of life itself. The night deepened, and Zetheria's twin moons rose over the crystalline towers. Rylan closed his eyes briefly, feeling a calm satisfaction. Humanity had taken its first true step into the heart of an alien civilization, not through war, not through domination, but through courage, ingenuity, and cooperation. And as the stars glittered overhead, Rylan knew that the queen's frozen gaze from earlier had been a moment that would echo through time, a moment when the human spirit had been recognized and the galaxy had begun to see them in a new light. The humans spent the night in the serene glow of the palace garden. Soft light shimmered from the crystalline walls, and the air carried the faint scent of alien blossoms. Commander Rylan sat quietly, reflecting on the labyrinth and the queen's reaction. For the first time, he felt that humanity had been truly recognized, not for their weapons, not for their numbers, but for courage, ingenuity, and heart. Morning arrived slowly on Zetheria. Twin suns rose over the horizon, painting the crystalline city in shades of gold and crimson. The humans followed Queen Valera through a corridor that pulsed with energy. Crystals on the walls reflected their movements, creating the illusion of light flowing around them. The queen's presence was commanding, but there was a subtle warmth in her gaze now, a mix of curiosity and respect. "You have passed the first challenge," the queen said, her voice calm and steady. "But understanding, humanity requires more than courage and intellect. It requires observing your spirit under uncertainty, under trial." Rylan nodded. "We are ready, Queen Valera. Tell us what you wish us to do." The queen led them to a chamber unlike any they had seen. Its floor was uneven, made of jagged crystals that shifted subtly underfoot. Strange, glowing symbols covered the walls, and at the center stood a pedestal with a glowing orb suspended above it. "This," she said, gesturing toward the orb, "is the heart of Zetheria. It contains the knowledge and history of my people. It is protected by layers of challenges, both physical and mental. My soldiers have tried to access it, but none have succeeded without guidance. I wish to see if humans, relying solely on their instincts, intelligence, and cooperation, can reach it." Rylan examined the chamber carefully. The shifting floor alone would require balance and awareness. The symbols on the walls hinted at traps and puzzles. And the orb, he could feel an energy emanating from it like a silent test of perception. "Everyone," he said quietly, "stay alert. Watch the patterns, communicate clearly, and trust your instincts. We don't rely on technology here, we rely on each other." The team moved forward cautiously. Each step caused the floor to shift slightly, creating gaps and obstacles. Kira led with keen observation, signaling when a step was safe. The humans learned quickly that the orb seemed to respond to their movements, glowing brighter when they moved with care and dimming when they rushed. After a tense few minutes, they reached a series of wall panels covered in alien symbols. The symbols pulsed rhythmically as if alive. Rylan noticed a pattern. Certain symbols glowed faintly in sequence, suggesting the order in which they should be touched. "Follow the sequence," he instructed. "Kira, take the left side. I'll handle the right." They worked together, carefully pressing the symbols in the correct order. Every mistake caused a small shift in the floor, forcing them to adjust balance quickly. The chamber tested more than intellect. It tested patience, teamwork, and composure. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Sweat beaded on their foreheads, and their muscles ached. But Rylan encouraged them steadily. Keep going. Watch. The patterns. Trust your instincts. We are humans. Adaptability is our strength. Finally, the last symbol glowed steadily, and the orb descended slowly to the pedestal. A soft chime filled the chamber, and a warm light spread across the walls. The heart of Zytheria revealed holographic images of past leaders, battles, and knowledge accumulated over centuries. Queen Valera emerged from the shadows, her eyes bright with admiration. "You have succeeded," she said. "Not through brute force, not through clever machines, but through ingenuity, courage, and cooperation. My people have relied too long on control and systems. You have reminded me that true strength lies in spirit." Rylan bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Queen Valera. But this is not just about strength. It's about what we choose to do with it. Humans face challenges not only for survival but for others, for the greater good. That is our nature." The Queen studied him carefully, her antennae twitching slightly. "And yet humans are so small in number compared to galactic civilizations so fragile in body. How can a species so limited accomplish so much?" Rylan smiled faintly. "It's not about size or numbers. It's about heart, intelligence, and will. We may be small, but we endure. We adapt. We rise to challenges others might flee. That is why humans survive, and why we can inspire even the most powerful beings in the galaxy." Kira looked around, noticing the images projected by the orb. "Commander, it's incredible. She's giving us access to centuries of knowledge. She trusts us now." Rylan nodded. "Yes. Trust is earned, not demanded. And we earned it by showing who we are, not by proving our weapons." The Queen's voice broke the silence again. "I must admit, your species surprises me. I have studied countless civilizations. I have ruled with precision, controlled with strength, and relied on systems to maintain order. But humans, you are different. You challenge expectations. You teach me something I never expected to learn." Rylan met her gaze. "That is the nature of humanity. We are not perfect, but we persevere. And when we face the unknown, we do. So with courage, intelligence, and compassion." The Queen's eyes softened. "Perhaps I underestimated the galaxy's possibilities. Perhaps I underestimated humans." She paused, her glowing eyes reflecting centuries of thought. "You may not see it, but you have changed my perspective, not only about your species, but about life, leadership, and resilience itself." Rylan felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This was more than a diplomatic mission. It was a moment where the human spirit had been recognized by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Their survival, ingenuity, and courage had earned respect not through war, but through demonstration of character. "You have access to the heart of Zytheria," the Queen continued. "Learn what you will, study what is necessary, and tomorrow we will continue. There is more for you to demonstrate, more for me to understand." Rylan's team moved closer to the orb, studying the images of alien history, battles, and inventions. They were careful, absorbing every detail. Knowledge was valuable, but they understood that the real lesson was in the challenge itself, the ability to adapt, observe, and act as humans. The Queen watched silently, her expression a mixture of admiration and curiosity. She had observed humans navigate challenges that her own species struggled with. She had seen ingenuity, courage, and leadership displayed in ways that went beyond technology or orders. Kira whispered to Rylan, "Commander, do you think she will ever truly understand humans?" Rylan's eyes remained on the glowing orb. "She already does. Understanding isn't about knowing every detail, it's about seeing the heart. She has seen our heart. That is far more than any lesson or test could show." The chamber's soft light bathed the humans as they studied the alien knowledge. Every moment reinforced the Queen's respect. She had requested challenges to test humanity, and humanity had risen, not with weapons, but with mind, spirit, and courage. The day passed quietly as the humans studied the heart of Scytheria. They took notes, asked questions, and learned more about the galaxy through the Queen's guidance. Rylan realized that this mission had grown beyond diplomacy. It was an exchange of understanding, a bridge between species built on recognition and respect. As the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows through the crystalline towers, Rylan reflected on the day's events. The labyrinth and the challenges within the palace had not only tested humans, they had proven their essence. And in doing so, they had begun to change the Queen's view of life, leadership, and the human spirit. Queen. Valera approached him again as night fell. You have demonstrated something extraordinary, Commander Rylan. Your people face challenges not only with courage, but with creativity and heart. That is rare. That is remarkable. That is human. Rylan nodded, his own respect for her growing. Thank you, Queen Valera. We hope to continue showing that humanity can be a force for understanding, courage, and resilience in the galaxy. She regarded him silently for a moment, then motioned for them to rest. Tomorrow, the next part of your journey begins. But tonight, reflect on what you have accomplished. You have passed tests not only of skill, but of spirit. That is what truly matters. Rylan felt a sense of calm and purpose. Humanity had taken its first real steps into the heart of an alien civilization. They had shown courage, ingenuity, and cooperation. And in doing so, they had earned the Queen's respect and curiosity, something far more valuable than any weapon or technology. Outside, Scytheria's twin moons rose, casting silver light across the crystalline city. Commander Rylan stood quietly, thinking about the trials of the day, the labyrinth, and the challenges yet to come. Humanity had proven its strength, not in battle, but in spirit. And the Queen, once frozen in astonishment, had seen it clearly for the first time. The morning sun of Scytheria bathed the crystalline city in warm gold and soft red. Commander Rylan and his team prepared for the final stage of their encounter with Queen Valera. The previous days had tested them in ways they had never imagined. They had removed their armor in the throne room, navigated the labyrinth, and accessed the heart of Scytheria, proving courage, ingenuity, and cooperation. Today it was time for the ultimate recognition, mutual understanding. The Queen led them to a vast hall in the heart of the palace. Its walls shimmered with soft light and the floor was smooth, polished crystal. At the center of the hall stood a dais with no throne, only space for humans and Scytherians to stand as equals. Rylan felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The Queen's energy, once formal and distant, now radiated respect and curiosity. You have faced challenges my people have designed to test skill, intelligence, and cooperation, the Queen said. Her voice resonated in the hall, calm yet filled with meaning. You have succeeded in ways my soldiers could not. You have demonstrated courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. But most importantly, you have shown me the spirit of humanity. Rylan stepped forward. Queen Valera, we are honored. Humanity is not perfect, but we endure, adapt, and face challenges not only for ourselves but for others. That is who we are. The Queen's antennae twitched slightly as she studied him. I now see why humans inspire respect throughout the galaxy, not because of weapons or numbers, but because of heart, intelligence, and will. You have earned recognition, not as visitors but as beings capable of inspiring hope. The humans exchanged glances, feeling a mix of pride and humility. Kira whispered, Commander, she truly respects us. Rylan nodded. Yes, respect is earned, and we earned it by showing who we are, not by proving our strength. The Queen's glowing eyes scanned each human soldier. You have proven that humans can navigate uncertainty, adapt to the unknown, and act with courage. Your resilience is extraordinary. It is a lesson not only for my people but for all who witness it. Rylan felt the weight of her words. They had not fought battles and they had not wielded power through weapons, yet they had achieved something far greater, the acknowledgement of human spirit. Now, the Queen continued, I wish to extend an offer. Your species has the capacity to influence the galaxy not only through survival, but through wisdom and courage. I invite humans to share knowledge, to exchange ideas, and to cooperate with Zetherians. Together, we may accomplish what neither species could achieve alone. The humans paused, absorbing the significance of her offer. This was more than diplomacy. It was partnership. Humanity had been seen as a species to be understood and respected, not feared or ignored. Ryland stepped forward, extending his hand in the gesture of unity. Queen Valera, we accept your offer. Humans value cooperation and understanding. We are ready to learn from you and to share what we know. Together, we can face challenges and explore possibilities far beyond either of our worlds alone. The Dyke. Queen's antennae rose slightly, and she extended her own hand. The gesture was subtle, but its meaning was profound. The two species had crossed the boundary between curiosity and mutual respect. It was a moment that would shape the future of Zetheria and humanity alike. You have proven that humans are more than what appearances suggest, the Queen said. You have demonstrated that strength is not only in power, but in intelligence, courage, and heart. I will remember this day, and so will my people. Ryland smiled. We hope that this is only the beginning. Humans are capable of great things, and together, with allies like you, we can achieve even more. The Queen gestured to the hall around them. Crystals on the walls began to shimmer, displaying scenes of the labyrinth, the heart of Zetheria, and the human successes. It was as if the palace itself celebrated the accomplishment. This is remarkable, Kira whispered. It's as though the palace is recognizing our efforts too. Ryland nodded. It's not just the palace, it's recognition of the human spirit, our cooperation and courage. That is what the Queen has seen, and it's what the galaxy will come to respect. The Queen's voice broke the silence once more. There is one more lesson I wish to share with you. Strength is not only measured by survival or skill, but by how one inspires others. You have inspired me, humans, and in doing so, you have changed how I perceive life, courage, and leadership. That is the greatest achievement of all. Ryland felt a sense of pride, not in himself alone, but in humanity. Every human had a part in this moment. Every act of courage, thoughtfulness, and cooperation had contributed to this recognition. Queen Valera, he said, we are honored to have inspired you. Humans endure, adapt, and act with courage because we believe in each other and in what we stand for. That is what drives us, and that is what we will continue to do wherever we go. The Queen's glowing eyes reflected a mixture of admiration and contemplation. I have observed countless beings, led armies, and studied civilizations. But your species, Uriano, you are exceptional. You demonstrate that true power lies not in dominance, but in heart, ingenuity, and cooperation. I will ensure that Zetheria remembers this lesson. Ryland felt the weight of her acknowledgement. Humanity had proven its essence, not through weapons, not through technology, but through spirit. The recognition was far more valuable than any material reward. As the sun rose higher, casting bright beams through the crystalline hall, the Queen spoke again. You may return to your world with the knowledge that humanity is seen, understood, and respected. The galaxy may yet underestimate you, but today, you have proven what humans can achieve. Ryland's team exchanged quiet smiles. Commander, Kira said softly, we've made history here. Ryland nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and responsibility. Not just we. Humanity has made history, and this is only the beginning. The Queen moved closer. There is one final gesture I wish to offer. She extended a small crystal glowing softly. This is a token of recognition. Keep it as a reminder that you and your species have earned respect in ways no weapon or armor could provide. Ryland accepted the crystal with both hands, bowing respectfully. Thank you, Queen Valera. We will honor it, and the lesson it represents. The Queen nodded. Go with courage, humans, and know that you are not alone. You have allies, respect, and a place among civilizations that value what you bring to the galaxy. As the humans departed the palace, the twin suns of Zytheria shone brightly on them, reflecting off their armor in the crystalline city. They walked with heads held high, not with arrogance, but with pride in what humanity had achieved. Rylan looked back once, seeing Queen Valira standing at the palace threshold. Her expression was one of respect, curiosity, and admiration. For the first time, humans were not merely visitors to an alien world. They were equals, beings whose courage and spirit had earned recognition in a galaxy filled with uncertainty. "Commander," Kira said, "do you think the rest of the galaxy will see us this way?" Rylan smiled faintly. "They will. It will take time, but humanity has shown what we are capable of. Not through war, not through domination, but through courage, ingenuity, and heart. That is our true power." As the team prepared to leave, Zytheria, Rylan felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Humanity had proven itself in a way that transcended technology, weapons, or numbers. They had shown that true strength lay in spirit, cooperation, and courage. The Queen had frozen when he first removed his armor, astonished by the human spirit. Now she had seen the full measure of their capability, their ingenuity, and their heart. Humanity had earned respect, and the first bridge of understanding between species had been built. Outside, the crystalline towers of Zytheria glimmered in the morning light. Rylan and his team boarded their ship, carrying with them knowledge, honor, and a token of recognition from one of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. Humanity had stepped into a new chapter, one of respect, cooperation, and endless possibility. And in the heart of the palace, Queen Valira watched them leave, reflecting on what she had witnessed. The humans had shown her a form of strength her people seldom possessed, a strength born not of technology but of courage, ingenuity, and the heart. For the first time, she felt that the galaxy was wider, richer, and more extraordinary than she had ever imagined. Humans were no longer merely observers. They were participants capable of shaping the future through spirit, intelligence, and resolve. Commander Rylan and his team looked out at the stars as their ship lifted off, leaving Zytheria behind. The twin suns shone brightly, a reminder of the world they had changed through courage, creativity, and cooperation. Humanity had shown the galaxy what it meant to endure, adapt, and inspire. And as they soared into the vast unknown, one truth was clear: the human spirit was a force that could be recognized, respected, and admired across the stars.